So without a doubt, Resident Evil 4 Remake is easily one of the most anticipated titles of 2023. Let's talk about it. As far back as early 2020, there were rumors of it being greenlit. Early build leaks, screenshots, things like that. Some of these early leaks seem to be a little bit different from what the current leakers are saying, but the majority of it is the same. With any leaks from any games, just like anything else, take it all with a grain of salt. Nothing has been confirmed by Capcom. None of this has been confirmed at all. One of the earliest leaks stated that the village segment was going to be more compact with tighter spaces and more buildings. Looking at the trailer, I'd say that's potentially accurate. Most recent leaks state that the early segments of the game are going to take place at night or potentially very early morning. And again, the trailer shows that to be a potential. Recent leakers also stated that the game is going to be more inspired by the beta builds of Resident Evil 4 like the Hookman. So hopefully it's going to have more of a horror vibe. The original RE4 was definitely full of tension, but I wouldn't necessarily call it horror. The same leaker also stated that side characters will be more fleshed out, with Ada's role being bigger, as well as her own campaign being expanded upon. Ashley is also stated to have a larger role, potentially even gaining the ability to help Leon in combat and help unlocking doors. It'd be nice to see her not such a useless character. Luis's role is said to be expanded, supposedly helping Leon more than half a dozen times throughout the story, and it's also said that he's going to survive, which that would be a nice change, because I think we can all agree he was definitely a fan favorite. If the mercenaries return, it'd be nice to see him as a playable character there as well. Krauser is also rumored to have an expanded role, hopefully to better explain his character and history with Leon. Resident Evil 4 canonically was Krauser's first appearance, but he had worked with Leon to take down Javier Hidalgo some years prior, as seen in Darkside Chronicles on the Wii. Supposedly, there will be 3 Stalker-type enemies throughout the game, one being Salvador, one Torres Mendez, and the last being the Verdugo. Dr. Salvador is rumored to be a recurring boss type, potentially filling both boss and Stalker role, with each encounter damaging him further, causing him to potentially mutate throughout the game. Evidently, he's planned to be recurring until the island segment, where he will have his final battle with Leon, hopefully looking very similar to the Super Salvador from the Mercenaries mode in the original game. Mendez is rumored to have similar AI to Mr. X. Hopefully they expanded upon that a little bit. He will be apparently capable of calling on other Ganados to intercept his fight with Leon, or intercept and fight with Leon. His house is said to be expanded as well, which could be both how himself and Dr. Salvador can be stalkers in the same village segment of the game. The Bella sisters are apparently not going to be after the cabin fight, if the cabin fight is still in the game. We haven't heard one way or the other about the cabin fight specifically, but they are rumored to join with Dr. Salvador on the island to fight Leon in his final confrontation. Verdugo is apparently still to play a part in the game, acting as the stalker type in the castle, and he's rumored to have the ability to turn himself invisible, as a way of taking the player by surprise. This is another one that I'm not personally too sure of. I don't want to say that I don't believe it, but I don't really want to say that it's completely believable of a scenario either. Early leaks stated that at least 3 bosses were cut, as well as Spider Sadler not being the final boss. I'm not sure if Spider Sadler boss fight being cut is involved in those 3, but I guess we'll find out. Evidently the merchant is relatively untouched as well, but I would like to see that change. I'd like to see how the Duke from Village was able to be in contact with the merchant, maybe a guild, a family of merchants, something along those lines, or maybe one gets their inventory from the other. I'm just spitballing here, but the Duke's insignia in his cart was never touched on or mentioned, and while he was supposed to be the 5th Lord of the Village, that idea was scrapped. I feel like this is a good opportunity to bring that idea back into the story to some capacity. There have also been recent leaks about a potential cameo from Wesker himself toward the end of the game, maybe seeing his own boss fight, or maybe just as a cutscene. Either way, that could segue directly into a remake of Resident Evil 5 as well. With Ada's story being fleshed out more, she could potentially be the one to fight Wesker at the end of her own campaign. Early leaks, if I do remember correctly, had people worried that Krauser's character would be cut entirely, but the more recent leaks not only say that he is still in the game, but he will have a much larger role to play. And back to the setting, that's one thing that each leak does have in common, is that it takes place at night. And if we watch the trailer, like I said at the beginning, it would seem that way. One of the leaks that I don't necessarily believe myself, someone had stated that the game would have a slight open world element, like areas that we would already know, but having much more open-ended things to find, almost sounding like a focus on exploration. I sincerely hope this isn't the case, and honestly, it doesn't sound too plausible seeing how things are set up in the trailer. Though that could just apply for the village, and the rest of the game could be more open and explorable. Not too sure. And speaking on the setting again, there have been leaks about new areas being implemented into the game, like a university of sorts, potentially where you see Leon speaking to the president in the beginning of the trailer, and potentially an airship, which, watching some of the beta builds for the original RE4, there was one that was in sort of a blimp type of airship thing. I'm not sure how they'd make that an understandable and cohesive part of the story, though, so I guess take that with its own grain of salt. Pretty sure that's all I got for us this time. Don't forget to do all the algorithm stuff, like, subscribe, comment down below if you want to have a conversation with me about it.